Okay, it is 6:31 and we will call the meeting to order. Rebecca, can you do the roll call? Oh, here comes Nate.
Oh. Okay, I'll wait just a moment.
All these women waiting on one man.
Jeez, no kidding. I thought you were going to make me do it, Nate. I was all ready.
Okay, I was just about to take roll. Commissioner,
I think you said Brown. Here.
Commissioner Elson,
Here.
Commissioner Miles,
Here.
Commissioner Phipps,
Here.
Commissioner Ravazio,
Here.
Commissioner McPherson. Vice Chair Janowski
Here.
and Chair Blomgren.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting. Sorry about that. I was signed into my interview for continuing my position on Thursday, which is on Thursday, not today. Sorry. So agenda item number 2 is open time for public comment. So if there's any comments on 80 items that are not on the agenda this evening, we can take those now, either folks online or via email.
We have some hands raised, but I'm also going to check the email. And my timer hasn't started, so I will time the timer on my phone. Just a minute, please. The first person that we will call on will be Sarah Vigil.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so my name is Sarah and I am a community member here. I live in Corte Madera. I have 2 children that attend Neil Cummins. I also sit on the board of the Corte Madera FC soccer, and I own a company, Soccer Kiddos, and work for soccer kids that rents fields in Corte Madera. And I wanted to bring up the years and years of talk about turfing the East Field and where we stand with that and where we can move forward with that. Because I find, not only will it be, a revenue source for Corte Madera Parks and Rec, but it will be a huge benefit to the community for the kids to be able to be out there, especially when the fields, winter time, when half a town park shuts down, as well as the kids at the school having that, access to the East Field during the winter hours, especially seeing as how this past year has been a lot of outdoor time. So was hoping to, bring that up.
Thank you. Okay, and the next person that we will call on will be Clark Miller.
Hello, commissioners. My name is Clark Miller. I am a parent living in Larkspur and have children that play sports on those fields that Sarah is just talking about at Town Park. And they and other children in the community would greatly benefit from that turf field Sarah just mentioned. So I'm calling in support of that. I think the year-round access to a field is something that we don't have much of in Corte Madera Larkspur, and I'm also a board member on the Corte Madera Football Club and believe that we can be a more competitive club competing against other regional soccer clubs if we have facilities that can compete with those we find in Mill Valley and Tiburon and San Rafael. And so I encourage you to explore it, and I'm actually somebody that would volunteer to help explore it with you if that's something you're willing to take on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Clark and Sarah for that. As it's not on the agenda, we can't discuss the future of that topic, but it is something that is on the minds of us as we go towards the long-term plans for the park, and something that we continue to assess at least. So thank you very much for your opinions about that. I appreciate it. Is there anything from email?
Blomgren, if I'm still waiting for the email to load, but if I may, in the moment we don't typically take action on items brought up during public open time, except to say that it will be brought back to staff. But in this case, I did want to point out that we are in the middle of the town park master planning process. And all Corte Madera residents should have received a paper copy of the survey in the mail. And for those that haven't received it, or for those that live outside the immediate area that want to participate in the survey of stakeholders, that link is available. It may be on our town's website now. It's definitely in our newsletter. It will definitely be running in our newsletter again on Friday. So feel free to reach out to me directly and I can put you in touch with the link to take the survey for those people who are interested in commenting on the town park master plan. Oh, and the use, the facilities and field use would fall under that plan. So the results of that plan will be brought back to the commission for discussion. And then as from how I understand the process would be, you would make recommendations to the council. But correct me if I'm wrong on any of that, but I just thought I'd get that out there, that link is available.
Do you know if the paper copy went out to Larkspur residents or just Corte Madera?
Can I address this quickly?
Yes.
And we'll be doing a little bit more thorough update. A paper copy was sent to all Corte Madera residents. And there is a link for Corte Madera residents to fill out that survey if they either prefer to do it online or did not receive a paper copy for some reason. We're sending out a separate link to program participants who don't live in Corte Madera, simply so that we can segregate the data more cleanly to understand what the interests are from Corte Madera residents versus others who utilize Parks and Rec services. And that is going to be sent out to all of those non-Corte Madera program participants in the next week or two. There is an email where people can email right to the master plan committee with any questions, and I'll cover this a little bit more detail at the end of the meeting with updates.
Okay, great, thank you.
Chair Blomgren, I have one more question that was typed into the chat. If you didn't receive a hard copy, which she prefers to digital, how can she get a replacement hard copy?
They can send an email to the link that was provided with the cover letter of the survey, and we can ensure that they get a hard copy.
Thank you.
And any public comment through email? I don't see any other hands raised.
We did not receive any emailed public comment for open time.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 3, presentations. Item 3A is the summer brochure and program preview by Erin Duggan.
Okay, let's see. I think I have this figured out. Share. Okay. So can you see that? Are we good to go? Great. Okay, so tonight I'm going to present to you the programs that I implemented this year. I'm not involved in soccer or Jeanotte's programs, so I won't be covering those. COVID gave us some very unique challenges. Aside from the constant changing school schedules, all of the department's usual teachers dropped, but 3. We could only offer outside classes. And due to the weather, we had a shorter season starting in late March versus early January. We only had 1 classroom, and that was the patio. Also, instead of large classes of 20, our new maximum was 12. But even with all those restrictions and limitations, our youth enrichment programs exceeded our pre-COVID numbers. So you'll see up here in 2019, we had 389 youth signups. This year, we had 244 paid signups, but we gained 215 teen volunteer signups. Those, of course, were for the Rec Inc. programs. When I was putting these together, I had 4 goals. One was to create a fuller, more diverse slate of programs. I wanted to choose new high-quality classes with excellent instructors. And I was guided by the 200 SurveyMonkey results I got from our 2020 survey. And I also was looking at and reflecting on the numbers from Super Cool Summer School, which I ran for 20 years. And our last year there, we served between 800 and 900 kids. The other thing I was very much wanted to do was create preschool programs for kids ages 1 through 5. And those went really well. We started and had 76 signups. One of the programs that I'm really excited about is the Flying Dutchman Gymnastics. They come, this year they set up the whole patio as an outside gym, but in the future, they'll be setting up inside the community center, and they'll set up a whole toddler town in there. So people from around, I think we're thinking like 10 a.m. to 1 o'clock will be able to drop in and have that opportunity of toddler free play, guided by the gymnasts. And then after 1 o'clock, when the schools start getting out, then we'll start having classes back to back for those age groups. The sports classes that we initiated, also gangbusters, and our cute little kid dance class was very popular. The kindergarten through 4th grade classes, we got 96 signups. And, you know, again, a really good variety. The ukulele class was adorable, and that's another new group that we're working with, and they actually bring the ukuleles to every meeting, so kids don't have to come back and forth with their ukuleles or guitars. They're just there, and if they want to rent them, they can do that at a very nominal fee. For the 4th through 8th graders, we got 77 signups for our new classes. Just Dance Academy did hip hop, and that age group loves that. The guitar class, and we had an advanced acting class as well. And of course, our skateboarding. Where we really boomed was we had 250 teen volunteer signups, and those were all high school students primarily for the Rec Inc. programs. So the Rec Inc. programs for adults with developmental disabilities, we created some new programs, and we turned the ones that we had into Zoom programs. So upper left corner there is our art and storytelling, which happens every Tuesday night. And then we go to our monthly offerings, which is party night, Stephanie Cease, and then our 3rd Friday dances, which are themed, plus a Lions Club meeting. Starting in May, we rented a movie theater for April, May, and June. And we got 20 of our clients to be able to go to see movies at Northgate or the Regency. And that was really popular. And we were very concerned because we noticed that several of the clients were slipping. It's very hard for them because unlike the rest of us who can drive or go to the store or have families, they're living primarily by themselves, and they're not very good with Zoom or electronics. So life for them was pretty hard, and this has really helped. So we're looking forward to trying to plan more things for them. As far as for the rest of the population, the only Zoom class that we had that was working was Dr. Inkwell's bartending class. And as you can see, he did a variety of cocktail making classes, and we had 57 signups for those. He works for Taste Catering, and Taste Catering is a high-end catering company in San Francisco, and it's run by women, and it boasts an extremely diverse staff. This year, they got grants and loans to keep afloat, and they focused on feeding the hungry in Hunters Point and in other areas in San Francisco. They were incredible and gave us 2 different offerings that were spectacular. We didn't get very many signups, but that was because of the marketing that we had some issues with, came to us late, so we couldn't get it out in time. But amazing. Probably the best brunch I've ever had in my life. So we're really looking forward to pairing with them in the future. We continued with some of our adult classes that we could continue with, which was the adult tap. And if you can see down right behind her foot, there's a little blue thing, and that's a lantern. So they were actually dancing as the sunset all through the winter. They only stopped when it rained. They were hardcore. We also have been offering jazzercise and women's fitness 5 mornings a week, Monday through Friday. And we have a watercolor class. And here are summer classes. And there's a lot. So we have summer classes and summer camps. And this may seem like we've overscheduled, but Super Cool Summer School, which usually takes, as I said, 800 to 900 kids last year, could only take 180. So we thought we'd give a shot at this and see how it works. We're continuing with our limited adult offerings. And next month, I'll be working with Rochelle and creating a fuller slate for our fall offerings. So that is all I have for you. I don't know if you want me to keep this up so you can glance at it, or do you have any questions?
Thanks, Aram. Awesome as always. Any questions or comments on the presentation? I see Pat. Go ahead, Pat.
I am just so thrilled to hear about Teen Inc. I have been saying for many meetings and many, many years that I want to see us do more for our teenagers. And I know they're hard to get to traditional recreation programs. And I think that by tugging at heartstrings and giving them a purpose and something to do to help other people, you're really tapping in to something that could be super powerful. Thank you. Thank you for your insights and for knowing that that is such a, beautiful thing to do, to bring those teens together with people who have special needs. I think it's magic and I'm so appreciative. And I hope we keep putting more time and energy into things for teenagers, because I see that group and the older young adults, the kids in their 20s, as being really needy right now, mentally and emotionally. And I think this is the kind of outlet and thing that can give them hope and make them see that life is worth living, and they don't have to be depressed. So thank you for your work.
You're very
And
welcome.
Thank you.
And usually we get double the numbers of teens, but because of the Zoom offerings, we could only take a limited amount. Normally our monthly dance gets 40 or more. So I'm looking forward to getting back, into in-person. I think we can do a lot.
One thing I'd love to say for the teens and young adults, I don't know if you've looked into ecstatic dance is happening in Santa Barbara and Santa Cruz now, where it's socially distanced on the beach or in a big park. And they use headphones. So there's no loud music. So they're out there dancing and moving around and feeling great about life in the beautiful sunshine, and they're not bothering anybody, because they have a DJ who plays the music just in and they pass out headphones. This particular DJ does. I tried to get him to come up here to Corte Madera, but he said he wouldn't come that far. But I think they do it in Fairfax too.
My daughter goes to Drake, and they had a company come out and do that for them. So I will look into that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's exciting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Any other comments or questions?
I just have to give a quick plug. I was one of the people that ordered the Mother's Day brunch from Taste. It was delicious. We gotta hit that a little harder next year with marketing. It was really, really good.
Yeah, I had my cat order it for me because I was tired of getting burnt toast or nothing for brunch. I was blown away. And not only that, but the price point that they gave us, because they're such a huge catering company, they can get great champagne at a very low price. So the prices were, I thought, spectacular.
Well, the ads were on the signboard, and I was one of the husbands whose wife was mad because I did not order it for her. So I won't make that mistake again.
I would also call out the preschool programs have been really, really well received. And I've actually had a couple of parents on the sidelines say, has the rec department always had all these programs? I just kind of never knew. And I said, no, this is new. So it is being noticed kind of widely by the community. And yeah, my kids are in some of those pictures, so some of those sports programs. It's really phenomenal instructors, which is hard at that age. And they're really doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, I really go out of my way to make sure that the people that I'm getting are going to be people you want to imprint on your children, and also people that are passionate. Teachers come in all different styles, but I always want to make sure that they're really exceptional at how they teach and who they are.
It's been impressive. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Erin. Next on the agenda is item 3B, which is summer camp presentation with Shanat Rodriguez.
Okay, I'm super excited to share. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And can everyone see this and hear me? Yes.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Sorry, I couldn't see. Okay, well, here we are. I don't know where time goes, but we're back at it, ready for summer. Camp 2021. Slightly better, more exciting than last year, almost close to normal, quote unquote. So yeah, I'm gonna be giving you a quick summary of what to expect for our summer camp this year. And yeah. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Shanat Rodriguez. I've been working with Corte Madera Parks and Rec for about 8 years now. I am directing, I think this is my 3rd year directing. I attended this program when I was young, so I grew up in the program. I grew up in Corte Madera. So I'm very familiar with our community, with our programs, and I'm very, very, very excited to have another wonderful summer. So our goal for this program, because it is not summer playground or a traditional version of our normal summer camp, it was created from, the pandemic last year, and it's the alternative to our summer playground. And we chose to make it an alternative with an alternative name because, the expectations can't be the same when, summer playground is a completely different and wonderful program. And this is a completely different, wonderful program as well. But the goal remains the same. The goal is to help our community, specifically our youth. They are in a very important generation and population, and we aim to help them thrive and create wonderful memories while parents are out and about doing work, running errands, and whatever else they need to do on their own. So this year it is looking a little bit different from last year. So we're located on Neil Cummins campus, which we were located on last year. However, this year we have been able to attain the old Twin Cities portables. So last year we were sharing our space with teachers, like classrooms and stuff. This year, and this happened, I believe, back in October, Corte Madera Parks and Rec was able to attain the portables, and it's where we're currently running our after school program. They're wonderful spaces intended and created really for kids. So it's a beautiful area, and I definitely, now I'm realizing I should have included a picture. This year we're going to be breaking them up into 2-week sessions, so there will be 4 2-week sessions that will run from June 21st through August 13th. Our hours are going to be 8:30 in the morning to 5 p.m., which is, I believe, a little bit earlier than what we offered last year. Last year we started at 9. This year we're going to be starting at 8:30. And again, that's just with us keeping in mind that parents have to go to work early, so we're trying to accommodate working parents and just families all around. We also introduced weekly rates, which I'll be going into in a little bit for more flexibility. That's a little bit newer. I think we just announced it a few weeks ago. And that was just because we were seeing that a lot of families only needed 1 week of the summer, or needed, 1 week of one session and 1 week of a different one. And it was just us trying to accommodate again for our community. We will continue to be doing theme days, special events, daily activities. Daily activities are our typical art, game, and sports. Our supplemental activities are activities that we won't be doing every day, but we will be doing at least once a week, if not a little bit more. And that includes, but is not limited, we're still brainstorming, banking, engineering, science. We really want to get more into the STEM. We have one of our site coordinators really doing some research on activities to really nourish that kind of stimulation in our kids, and really target age-based activities. So another thing is that our cohorts will be separated by ages. So I believe our age breakdown right now is 5 and 6 years old will be in one cohort, and the 7 to 12-year-olds will be in a different cohort. And this is what we've been using this whole time, even during our after school program, and we have found that it has worked exceptionally, and it helps, you know, kids interact with kids their own age and avoid I think some of the things that commissioners have brought up to me in the past, which is, you know, older kids being mean to younger kids. So it's been working really, really great. So our program breakdown, these are our prices. So they vary depending on session and depending on week. Oh, sorry, I don't know if, sorry, didn't know if that was for me. Session 1 and 2 are slightly cheaper than 3 and 4, and that's only because we are taking one day off. So I believe session 1, we're taking Friday off, and session 2, Monday off. Of the first week and slash second week because of 4th of July. And so that's why it's a little bit cheaper. Our prices do a little look different to what the town is used to or the community is used to. But really, when you break it down, it's only $8 an hour. So it's really not too bad. Our discounts are slightly smaller right now, but again, we're doing our best. Our goal this year is to bring in revenue as opposed to last year where it was just, you know, to really help the community. We really want to start, you know, getting back into that routine of bringing money to the town and also being able to provide a service for the community. Our weekly sessions, like I said, also vary for the same reason that weeks 2 and 3 are slightly cheaper for the 4th of July day that we are not going to be in session, but the rest of the weeks will be $349, and that's per week. One of the new things that we have decided to do this year is bring back our CIT program, which is a phenomenal program that's pretty traditional in our summer program, our summer playground program. This year, we got a lot of inquiries, and you know, that's another population like the younger teen, middle school ages need something to do for the summer, and why not help their community and earn some community service hours. So we have launched our CIT program, and our goal is to have about 2 CITs per cohort. Prices range depending on sessions or whether or not they want a full summer. And this is kind of like our little roadmap, our breakdown. As you can see, we have from staff training, which will be taking place that week in between school ending and camp starting. We always take that week to train our staff, get our CPR certification, and any other essential training. And then from there, it's go time. So then we move into our first session where we're going to be doing summer birthday celebration, Stars and Stripes Day. Each session has a big event. And it just varies what day. Session 2 is our very exciting and popular Harry Potter extravaganza as our big event. And for those of you who don't know, that's one of the most popular one because we really go all out. We transition camp into Hogwarts. The staff show up in costume. The campers show up in costume. We make potions. We cast spells. It's a lot of fun. And that's, I think, probably my favorite event. And we move down to session 3, where we're going to be doing something brand new this summer. Called Spy Academy. We're going to be training our campers to be spies and have an action-packed day. And also at some point we'll be doing Decades Day. Session 4 is our last session. And of course, we always finish our summer with our Penny Carnival. And that's just has been tradition. I remember when I used to go to Penny Carnival when I was in the program. So that's something that I definitely have held on for the last few years that we weren't able to do our traditional summer playground. And Superhero Day. And so then that finishes us off on August 13th with another successful, fun summer. So that's just kind of a quick breakdown. Then moving into our scholarship program. So this year we had 11 families requested, and we actually have more. However, I put them on a waiting list because I didn't want to promise too much. So to people that I couldn't handle. Of course, I prioritized our Corte Madera families. We definitely want to make sure that we're supporting our immediate community before the rest of the general community. And like I said, 60% of them, if not a little bit more, are Corte Madera Larkspur residents, and 40% of them are essential employees. This year we were really, really grateful to receive $8,000 in scholarships with the help of our community clubs and foundations. So the Lions Club, big shout out to them, the Corte Madera Community Foundation, and the Women's Club. They have really, really helped us out this year, and the families are really, really grateful, the ones that I have already given notice to. And so this is just a quick recap. Some of these pictures are from our after school program, just because I wasn't able to, really talk about it in this presentation. I'm hoping at some point I will be able to share all the wonderful things we did. You can see our Penny Carnival, our Harry Potter Day, and our other kiddos just having the time of their lives, creating memories. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, that's pretty much a quick recap and all I have for you guys.
Thanks so much, Nat. That's amazing. Really appreciate all the knowledge and care and energy you guys have always had towards the program. Any comments or questions?
I just want to chime in quickly. Shanat, thank you. That was a great overview. And I do think it really makes sense, given that you are able to offer the scholarships. I think going to more of a market pricing for the camp makes sense this year, since there are plenty of families that can pay. And, we were in a deficit from before. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So I applaud you for thinking about it with a little bit more of a business focus.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the goal is to help the community, and helping the community is bringing in the money for the community. So, that's the goal. It's to help the community and keep it alive and thriving.
One thing you may find success with is if you give people the option to donate an additional amount to a scholarship fund for those in need. Because we used to do that at St. Pat's for the CYO volleyball program, and we would get a donation of $500 or, from wealthy families who wanted to give back. So give them an extra box to check that says, would you like to make a donation?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm actually hoping that this year for our Penny Carnival, we'll and to create a new tradition is to have those pennies just start going into our scholarship fund as well. So it'll be kind of a mini fundraiser. And that's something that we hadn't done in the past. But I think, when we're running a big program, hopefully soon, we get a lot of money from the Penny Carnival. So it would be wonderful to be able to put that back into our community and into our low income families, because I definitely grew up as a low income family, and it was something that, changed my life. I wouldn't have been able to attend summer playground if I didn't have stuff like that. So.
Shanat, do you have a cap on the number of campers you can have at any one time?
In regards to the whole program, no. And I believe, I didn't want to go too much into guidelines because I'm expecting them to change once they open June 15th. Right now, it's about 14 per cohort. And that's a pretty comfortable size for us because our space is pretty big. Again, I apologize. It didn't occur to me to show you guys pictures of the space because it's wonderful. But it is pretty comfortable. The portables are big enough for about 14. And then it just kind of depends on how we see the numbers going and what the guidelines are. But that's about where we are right now and where I see it staying for the whole summer. Because we have, in addition to the 2 Twin City portables, we have 2 other portables that the school has provided for us. And they've told us that they could expand more space for us. So that's not too much of a worry for me.
And you feel like you could expand the staff quickly to cover for that?
Yes.
And then one more just curiosity. So, summer playground was predominantly an outdoor camp. And I know this is not summer playground and it has to be something different, but do you plan on trying to, get the kids some outdoor time and, how much time do you see like indoor versus outdoor?
No, definitely. Yeah, and that wasn't one of my notes, but I wasn't reading too much of them. No, definitely, absolutely. Especially because of what we're doing. We want to, have them outside with the fresh air. So we'll be doing a lot of nature walks around the actual, like if you could go back behind Neil Cummins, and it's like that's one of our favorite activities to do. We get the kids to pick up little leaves and then we come back and color them, and it's a good outlet. A lot of the kids like to be outside a lot of the time, so they do dodgeballs. We're thinking about maybe figuring out if we could do like a safe kind of outdoor competition, but it's still in the works, and we're planning and working around the guidelines. But absolutely, we'll be outside as much as possible and as much as the weather allows, because if it's crazy hot, we definitely don't want to have them outside. We have AC stuff, but we'll also have water games, like when it is hot. That's another thing that we do. We're going to be doing tie-dye, so yeah, they'll be outside probably more than they'll be inside, and that was the same last year as well.
Great. Thank you for putting together a program for this transition year. The community really appreciates it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I want to say I'm so proud of being a resident of Corte Madera based on what you and Aaron have both presented. It just makes me feel so full inside. Everything that we're able to offer to the community, it's really impressive. And your creativity and adaptation is impressive. I wanted to build also on something that Pat had suggested about trying to increase contributions for people who may not be able to pay full fare, because I do think that that's one of the things that also makes this program great, is bringing in people who really benefit from the kinds of services that we offer. So it's a very nascent idea, but I would like us just to consider going forward some things that we could do sort of out of cycle to help raise funds and visibility for summer playground as we get back to more traditional camp. What could we do as people start to think about summer and what they might be doing for their kids that would be a fundraising activity that could then funnel towards scholarship dollars. So I don't have an answer, but it's just an idea.
No,
let's not just
definitely.
focus our fundraising on the summer months.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I will definitely write that down and start brainstorming for the year to come. I also did want to, I forgot to include it in the presentation, but I did want to highlight that through our program of after school program and our previous summer program, we have created a very wonderful bond with the school district, not just Neil Cummins, but the Cove as well. And I've been working closely with them to locate low-income families and families that need the scholarship. So that is a brand new resource for us, or like connection wave. So my goal is to be able to provide support to all aspects of our community. And that was definitely something new and wonderful that we were able to do this year.
That's great.
I just want to second everything Louise said. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Really appreciate your work.
I don't see any comments from attendees on the Zoom. Is there anything on email? If not, we'll move on.
We did not receive any emailed comments on the presentation items.
Okay, thank you both for that, and thank your entire staffs. We really appreciate you guys. So moving on to agenda item number 4, which is the consent calendar, the approval of the draft minutes of the April 26th, 2021 regular commission meeting. Are there any comments or corrections to the April 26th minutes? And if not, is there a motion to approve the April 26th minutes?
So moved.
Second.
In a second? Okay. Okay, can you record those as approved? Thank you very much. And moving on to agenda item number 5, which is business items. We have 2. The first is 5A, a review and discussion of possible actions to reformat the 2021 Volunteer of the Year program. I did not know who was leading this discussion. I think we're all free to lead this discussion.
I just have a couple comments about it that Ashley and I discussed the other day, if that would be all right to just bring up. After reviewing all of the pieces of this program as it existed before, I think one of the things that, of course, has made things different this year and last year is that we had COVID. And so the normal way that we would go out to the community and solicit nominations and sort of and then select the person and then go ahead and, you know, do the other pieces of the puzzle, let them be in the parade and all that, sort of was scrapped because of COVID. And so I know that Ashley's intention is to bring that program back, but to have it be sort of everything we want it to be. She reached out to the folks who also my brain just went dead. The folks at the committee, the business, I don't know,
Chamber
what
of
do you call
Commerce.
it? Yeah,
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. I'm like, I don't know what you call it in Corte Madera. And they sort of had the idea of coming together and having two different nominations, one for a Citizen of the Year and one for a Business of the Year, and sort of make it more of that, sort of more than one person getting an award, and have it be a bigger deal and make it a bigger thing. And the reason that she and I talked about it is that, not to always bring up where I came from, but in San Rafael, Employee of the Year is a really big thing. Business Owner of the Year and Citizen of the Year are really, really big deals. And I think that Ashley's intention is to make that be a competitive thing where we're really recognizing people who are giving to the community, and not just people that live in the community necessarily, but people who come in and also contribute in other ways in the community. So those are just the things that she asked me to share with you, in addition to what was already written down. So I don't know if anyone else has any more information that I didn't have about that.
I'd love to just chime in. I think it's definitely something we need to retool. Even prior to COVID, it has been almost impossible to even get nominations. So, I mean, one year the way we had it structured, where we were trying to find a youth volunteer, I was going to Redwood, you know, basically just brainstorming myself, asking a teacher who we might be able to use. It's been really hard. So I think anything we can do to elevate it, broaden it. I mean, I read through obviously the staff report, but it feels like this is a great opportunity, since we had to take a break during the pandemic years, for us to retool it and come up with something that works better.
Can I
Go ahead.
I just wanted to know what happened to the old, so we used to have a really strong Citizen of the Year program. And the way it worked was the previous 5 winners chose the next one. So it was a really wonderful thing where once you were named, I was Citizen of the Year in 2004. It was a big deal to me, huge. I got to be in the parade and everything. And then it was my responsibility for the next 4 years to help choose the subsequent Citizen of the Year. And it was a really nice self-perpetuating program. And I don't know what happened to it.
Actually, I had my hand raised so that I could explain a little bit about what happened to that. About 5 years ago, that the committee that shepherded that process disbanded, and one of the council members nominated me to sort of try to continue that process, and then poll the previous 5 recipients and get them to select some options for the council to consider. And that process got to be more and more difficult, and the groups, I guess the number of people that they knew in the community got more and more insular. And so I was having trouble getting that group of 5 to make nominations. They always just said everybody they wanted to nominate had already received the award. And it,
that's when you know you live in a small town.
And then it was like, can you recommend some people for this award? And
that's funny.
It was difficult, but we kept the process going. It just go through last year, but usually it just falls down to the one person of those 5 that can actually nominate a person that hasn't already been nominated. So that was the difficulty in carrying on that process. And I did tell Ashley I would try to verbally explain my experience in trying to shepherd that process through to completion.
So it died from incest, kind of like it was just too insular. I get that. And there are definitely other people in the community. And I love the mention that we could reward people from outside the community. Somebody like Julie Kritzberger, for example, who has done so much for the 4th of July and all that, you know, but she lives in San Rafael, so she's never been recognized. So there are a few. There's a few more.
I never thought I'd hear death by incest in this meeting. But So can you remind us, like, do we have we've got a youth citizen of the year, and we have a volunteer of the year and a citizen of the year still. Do we have those 3 roles that are currently up for nomination?
I believe it's 4 roles. There's the youth, the volunteer, the senior volunteer of the year, and then the citizen of the year. And then sometimes that committee would also nominate a 5th person that would then serve as a Lifetime Achievement Award. When they didn't know to nominate and they wanted to nominate someone who had already been nominated, then they declare it a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Right. And then our interim director, Freshman Dibley, just mentioned the idea of potentially an employee of the year or a business of the year. Our employee of the year might be on this meeting. But those are both good ideas too. I think we should think about what the process would be for doing any or all of those this year, and how fast we would have to move, and what part this group would take in that. Some of these things might be town council issues rather than park and rec issues. I certainly think in general, it's very valuable to scan the community widely and find nominations for people who have done good things for town. And perhaps more importantly, make sure that the celebration process is something that everybody notices and that gets a lot of traction. So things to think about, but I don't know what the timing would have to be to make sure that these things get done this year.
I have a question, and I find the business citizen of the year kind of appealing, and I'm wondering, Rochelle, you said that it was given out in San Rafael, and I'm wondering what kind of things were business acknowledged for, and kind of what and ultimately encouraged the business community to do as a result of that.
Sure. The city was in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce in San Rafael. And so they would kind of, with their organization, they would flesh out people or businesses who contribute to the community. I was employee of the year a long time ago. And the business that got it the year that I won was Bank of Marin. And the reason that they got it is because they were instrumental in helping to set up an after school job fair for students and other people in the community, where different businesses in San Rafael and in Marin and the wider part of Marin would be in one room on one day, doing sort of recruitments for their businesses. And one of the things that came out of it that Bank of Marin really was instrumental in was an internship program for youth in San Rafael. It was a really interesting partnership, and unfortunately the people at Bank of Marin that did that program are no longer working for the bank, but that's one of the things that was just an interesting kind of side thing that just sort of grew out of it. You know, obviously San Rafael is a little bit bigger than Corte Madera, and we have a lot of different businesses, but I think that that partnership and that sort of organic growth of ways to engage youth in the community and something was really interesting. But it's also been given to real estate companies and agents and other different business people in San Rafael. Not always companies, sometimes people that work for different businesses. It just sort of depends on what their membership votes, and they actually are the ones that vote for the business of the year internally, but everyone is recognized at the same function. So the employee of the year, the citizen of the year, the volunteer of the year, the business of the year are all recognized at the same function, and it's usually a dinner. So that's my experience, at least from my last job.
Thank you.
Rebecca, can you remind us of when the nominations are for, at least for the things that are squarely within Parks and Rec, the Youth Volunteer and the Volunteer of the Year Award?
I believe the nomination process was usually in April and May.
Okay, right now.
For the commission to either vote on at their May or June meeting. But that was when we were trying to honor someone who would then be offered a ride in the 4th of July parade.
Can I just ask a question of Rochelle? Who
Yeah, hold on
managed what department managed this in San Rafael? Was it Parks and Rec, or was it who? I think what really needs to happen is there needs to be a person in charge of this, and who should that be?
So it was a committee in San Rafael. We had a recognition committee, and so that's who voted on Employee of the Year. And then there was 4 of those, and then there was a vote within that committee for the one person, because we had a quarterly Employee of the Quarter, and then those 4 were the ones in the running for Employee of the Year.
Mhm.
So that was done by a committee, but the Human Resources Department, which is large in San Rafael, was the one who sort of took that on in addition to the Parks and Recreation Department, because the event usually was at San Rafael Community Center. So that's how it worked before.
Okay.
So because the Chamber of Commerce doesn't have a facility. So I think that's sort of how that happened. And I was going to say, on the report that Ashley put together, it said she's recommending that the window is open for nominations between June and September, but that doesn't get the parade thing sorted. So I'm not sure what the intention was there.
Yeah, I think her intention was to find a way to honor the community this year and set the process. And then we would go back to an earlier nomination period the following year when it comes back to being able to have a 4th of July community celebration again. Because that was very popular, was the honorees riding in the parade.
Well, I certainly try to make sure that in these meetings, we're addressing things that we are supposed to address, but this is one of those issues that we've all been behind, but it's always been a little bit fractured by the way it works.
Mhm.
And Rochelle just mentioned what it was called in San Rafael, a recognition committee. And I really like the idea of there being a recognition committee that recognizes whomever we decide, whether it's a youth, a citizen, a senior citizen, an employee, a business. Maybe those 5 are a good starting point. But I might suggest that we consider at least being the seed of something like that. I don't know if we'll eventually manage it. Maybe there'll be a separate recognition committee, but it seems like maybe on our next agenda item, if we would discuss this group sort of sketching out the guidelines for a true long-term recognition committee, that would be a really good idea.
I completely agree, Nate. I think where it got hard is, maybe there's a couple people from council that would be on the committee, a couple people from Parks and Rec. I mean, town employees. It just would be helpful, because I think we're not the ones that necessarily know every volunteer that's made an impact. And I mean, Todd Cusimano probably has just as much input into it, or someone on council. So I really like the idea of a committee as well. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I agree. The other thing I would really like to see survive this process is recognition of a youth volunteer of the year. I think it's really important that we continue to put that forward as something that we value as a community. And I do think that we have, there are a bunch of young people that are doing good things, and maybe they're not doing them as visibly as would be necessary for people outside to nominate them. But I just think it's important that we continue to underscore the importance of that.
Yeah. Let's nominate Aaron's Teen Inc. group. They should be winning awards for coming out and working with disabled adults. I mean, Aaron, take this on. Can you take on this recognition?
We have several teams that just have blown my mind, that give of their time and their heart. So I'm sure I can help with that. And also in working with the schools have parents, that are really doing a lot for the community. So I feel like if we touch into those little avenues, I think we'll get a fuller breadth. And because I've always been involved, I grew up in Larkspur, Corte Madera. So I grew up and it was expected of everyone to do volunteer work. So I'm accustomed to talking to a lot of the different community groups. So I would not mind helping. I'm sure we can all work together. We can figure this out.
Can we nominate Aaron as chair of the recognition committee for Corte Madera?
Well,
No,
staff will do some research on how the San Rafael committee was formed, and I can also put some feelers out to other cities in our community to see if they have similar committees that we can use as templates as a starting point for the discussion. And just as a reminder, we did cancel the June and July meetings and scheduled one special meeting for, I believe it's July 19th. So we'll make sure that that item's on that agenda. But I just wanted to put it in your heads that as a reminder that there isn't a June meeting.
Okay.
When we get to a break in the discussion, I just wanted to also point out that there is a raised hand for public comment.
Yeah, I'll just say that there's, at one end of the spectrum are people who are doing things just out of the goodness of their heart and not for recognition. But at the other end, some people are into competitive philanthropy, which is also good for a town where people want to be recognized for doing the most. So I think there's room for all kinds of different ways that people like to donate their time and money. Go ahead and take the comment from our attendee. I think it's Patty.
Okay, figured out the mute button on my new iPad. So I think you've alluded to it, a few different people, about the differentiation between the citizen of the year and the volunteer of the year, that the volunteer was under the aegis of the rec department and the citizen of the year was a town council thing. But the missing piece that hasn't come up is that before Rebecca was asked to do it, it was all handled, shepherded around every year by Beth Benz. And she did a lot of work on it. And then when Beth died, she took it with her. So it really fell by the wayside. And Rebecca did, try to step in and pull it together. But yes, absolutely, the same people's names were coming up all the time. So I think it's true that the rec mission doesn't necessarily know everything that's going on in terms of Citizen of the Year people. And so what Nate is saying about let's, figure out what we're charged with and, rework the whole thing, I think is wonderful, because it breaks my heart that it's, so messed up at this point. And I'm happy to see that you guys are taking it on and fixing it. So thank you.
So it sounds like we'll keep this on the agenda with a general idea of a recognition committee that might be run through here, but we'll just see what the best way to do it and make sure we get a diverse group of people who would have input into that. But it seems like having a single group that does it would make it a lot stronger, and it would also make the celebration piece of it, when everybody gets to hear about these things, that much stronger. And when you have, I'm sure Rochelle can speak to this, when you have a good celebration, it tends to carry over into the next year for the things people are doing. It's probably self-perpetuating. Any other comments on this topic? Okay, thank you. I had no idea we were going to get so into it, and I'm glad we did. I appreciate it. The second item under business items, agenda item 5, is 5B, an update from Parks and Rec Master Plan Committee.
Okay, I'll take this. This came up earlier in the meeting, and I just want to talk about the survey that has been sent out to all Corte Madera residents, and make sure that people know how and where to get information if they have any questions. So the survey was sent by mail with a return address from the Town of Corte Madera Parks and Recreation, and it was addressed to Town of Corte Madera residents. So it's very possible that people may have seen this and thought that it wasn't anything that they needed to pay attention to, but quite the opposite. We are really looking forward to getting input from every household in Corte Madera on their priorities, their experience, and where they would like to see investment in town programs infrastructure, and facilities for parks and recreation. So for Corte Madera residents, if you can't find your survey or you prefer to fill it out online, the link is here. And if you would like a replacement paper copy or have any questions at all, there is an email box that is being monitored at the town, communitysurvey@tcmmail.org. We can answer any questions. If you prefer to have a hard copy, please just send us your address and we'll have that sent out to you. There is currently no date by which the surveys need to be completed, but we're looking for as much feedback as quickly as possible so that we can start to aggregate the data. In addition to the survey that's been sent to Corte Madera residents, we are keenly interested in the experience of non-Corte Madera residents who are program participants. So that speaks to at least one of the commenters early in this meeting. We will be sending out a link to the online survey for those people who have participated in in our programs in the past. It is a separate link simply because we're trying to easily be able to segregate the data from residents versus non-residents, but there is a field at the end of the survey where people will fill in their address. So we will be able to geocode the data and determine whether people are responding as Corte Madera residents or not. So non-Corte Madera residents, watch for that survey link to be coming to you in the next 7 to 10 days, I would say maximum. And again, this email address, communitysurvey@tcmmail.org, is a great place to go with any questions, or if you don't receive a link, we'll make sure that you get it. We have had some early response. We're excited by that. So there have been a number of people who have received the mail survey who immediately went online to fill it out. So we're starting to see responses already, and we're looking forward to that increasing in the next couple of weeks. The second update I want to share is on Town Park Plaza. As you'll all remember, at our last meeting, we talked about the possibility of purchasing new furniture for Town Park Plaza and agreed to take a proposal to Town Council. We did that last week. There was a great deal of discussion about the proposal to invest in furniture. We ultimately received approval on a 4-to-1 vote for a not to exceed budget of $20,000 for furniture for Town Park Plaza. And that purchase is going to be finalized over the next couple of weeks, and it's contingent upon having an operations and security plan that we share with the town manager to ensure that we are making an investment that is adequately protected, given that it is in a public space and it is exposed. So we're looking at options for how to secure the furniture. We're going to put some language into the lease with Cafe Verde for the work that they're going to do in helping us move furniture in and out if there are cushions, securing furniture overnight, etc. So that's all going to be done over the next couple of weeks, and we are hoping to be able to have furniture sometime in the early summertime. At this point, there are a lot of vendors that are finding that they are back ordered on furniture because a lot of people are upgrading their outdoor spaces in the summertime. So we'll work as quickly as we can to get the right solution in place and look forward to having that be a new community destination for the summertime. Those are my updates. Happy to answer any questions.
And if I can, just on the big picture we haven't really gone there, and I just want to update on sort of what we're doing and why we are doing it. This is the third time that I know of that the town has reached out to the community to ask what they want. And the nice thing is we are doing this in a way that we'll be able to compare what they want now versus what they wanted back in 2008. And that's why it's so important that the community really does take the time to fill out this survey, because we don't want to just know what the people who are always telling us what they want. We want to know what the community itself wants. So we really need maximum community participation in this survey, because that's going to give us the real data that we need. So please do, all of us should find a way to say to our friends, through our email list, for our social media or whatever, remind your Corte Madera residents to fill out the survey so that we get a really good, strong number. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Pat. I did that already. I put it on my Facebook with the link to the survey, and I think we all really need to do that to make sure we get a good response.
Any other comments or questions? Thanks so much. It's great. And we got the survey here, and it's really impressive that the town has that much interest in that level of details. It's great. And anything on email on business items, Rebecca?
I just want to say great job, Louise. Louise, you're just killing it on Parks and Rec. You are allowing us to step up our ability to serve the community so much. And I'm so glad you're here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's a team effort, you know that.
Thank you, Chair Blomgren. There were no emailed public comments received on this item.
Okay, thank you very much. That closes agenda item 5, business items, bringing us to agenda item 6, which is staff update and commissioner reports. We'll start with the director update from Rochelle.
Thank you, everyone. As you know, Ashley's last day was last Friday. I can share with you that she's at the hospital right now, and that's all I know. So we're anxiously awaiting the second of the babies in their family, and we're super excited. So it's my first week without Ashley kind of right next to me, which is interesting. I've already spent a lot of time with the childcare staff, and I want you to know, I was in charge of childcare in San Rafael for many, many years, and the staff that you guys have is outstanding. That is the cleanest childcare center I've literally ever seen in my life. And I train for the state up and down, and I've never, ever in my life seen a center that clean. I'm telling you, it almost looks like no kids are there. I got to go to one of their staff meetings, which was amazing. And I'm really looking forward to those programs in the fall. I think Aaron and I are going to have a really comprehensive listing of, I like to call it a menu of offerings. I think it's going to make a big difference to the 2 schools in the district. I worked with Patty a number of years ago, and so she's familiar with kind of the process I like to go through. Very similar to Aaron and what she's doing in after school. So I think in the fall, fingers crossed, everything's kind of back to normal, whatever that's going to be. I think people are going to be super happy with the youth programming that we're going to offer. And then hopefully Perry's going to get some people in the building to rent, and who knows what's going to happen then. But just really this last week and this week, just kind of digging in on what's happening and getting to know who's who and all that stuff. For weekly community outreach, Perry's still calling folks and checking in, and we're getting a lot of great feedback from people that they're super excited to talk to her. I don't know if you've talked to Perry much, but let me just say, you can't not smile when she's talking to you. So I know people really appreciate her. And when they come to the library, to the little library she has set up, they're super excited to meet her because they've talked to her on the phone so much. It's just been really great. So that's been a really good thing. But other ways we've been reaching out in the community include meetings with principals, sort of informally and also formally with them, trying to get their needs met, letting them know what our needs are, and really working together as a team. It's great because there's only 2 schools in the town, which, oh, it's so much easier. But I really appreciate how everybody's been really willing to work together to try to create the best possible outcome for students right now. It's been a rough year for people, especially littler kids who just don't know how to process. Working a lot with them and letting them know what we're offering, and then letting us know what we can help them with and what they're offering. And so I have to say that it's been really obvious that Corte Madera really has a lot going on, and people are super supportive and really want to do what's best for everyone. And I really, really appreciate that. As far as dogs, we haven't heard any negative comments about the dog park. And I was out there Friday. I came down because I left something in the office, and I went to the dog park, and I had my dog Cody with me, who's a golden retriever, and he's very friendly. And all of the dogs and people were just kind of hanging out talking. And I think you should know that they're really appreciative. I mean, Marin has a lot of open space, but there was a lot of folks with dogs in the park last week. And I got to meet them and didn't tell them who I was. I kind of just snuck in with my dog, but they're really appreciative of that park and how nice it is. And I mean, your park in general is beautiful, but to have that little corner for the dogs, I think is really, people are really happy about. So despite the fact that we haven't really gotten anything on email or anything, people definitely are happy with it. So I'm happy about that. I shared that with Jamie, who's our parks friend, and he was pretty happy as well. And then just for July as Parks Make Life Better Month, we still haven't had anyone come forward and wanting to work on the proclamation, but I was an English major in college, so I've been working on it. And Erin and I apparently, because I can tell by the look on her face, are going to be talking about that later. Ashley did put together a pretty comprehensive calendar of things, but Perry and I talked today a little bit about doing some other things with our department, kind of taking the lead on some things out in the park during that month as well. So we'll have some exciting updates about that on the June 15th town council meeting, and also bring that back to you guys on the 19th about what we're doing and where we're going with July's Parks Make Life Better month. And other than that, we did have the Department of Public Health come out. We passed our inspection. They only found 2 little teeny things that were fixable, so that was exciting. Yay, phew, thank you. Of course, no one's been in the kitchen, so that helped us out a lot. And I think that's about it for now.
Any questions or comments? We'll do public comment after we do the commissioner updates. Just do all the comments for agenda item 6 together.
I have a question. Something that keeps coming up amongst Neil Cummins parents that I talk to is, what is the after school program going to look like next year? It's a big unknown. Is it going to continue as it is? Is it going to be a new program? Is Parks and Rec going to have one there at all? And I'm just wondering when we might, get some information on what it's going to be next year.
I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but my background is in child development after school programs, and I've been working with the staff that's there. And I also don't know if you know this, but Shanat will be going away to college actually finally. So she's not going to be the person that's in charge of the after school program next school year because she won't be here. The staff that we have now, I'm confident are going to be able to move the program forward. And what we're looking at doing is a similar after school program to sort of what's out in the world now, which is kindergarten, pick up the kindergartners, have care for them, and then the older kids come after school, doing academic support for students, after school, but also have the recreation, of course, be a big component. Ashley had me look into getting licensed. It's cost prohibitive, and frankly, it's not really something that a program that's such short hours really needs to do. I think the days, to be honest, the days of licensed after school childcare are sort of going, and recreation programs are exempt anyway, so we don't really need to get a license, but I do want the staff to look at the licensing regulations because I think they do provide a basis for a really strong child development program. That said, we're looking at hoping that we're going to have something out for parents before school is out so that they can let us know if they're interested in the program after school. Our intention is to have it be that they would parents sign up for a month at a time, just like it is now. Obviously the fees are something we have to work on because their kids are in school for longer in a normal school year, but the intention is to be open on non-school days as well, with staff that either will pull from the program or the summer program, if that's a possibility, if those folks are still around. But yeah, we're working on sort of pulling together sort of my area of expertise and kind of the staff that we have and seeing what kind of thing we can come up with. Definitely going to be a program though, for sure at Neil Cummins. I think Cove is going to be after school classes only and not actual childcare.
Great, thank you.
Are there questions or comments? Okay, we'll move on to the second part of agenda item 6, which is commissioner reports. The first is updates from town council meetings with Commissioner Miles from the May meetings.
Yeah. So first I have to say that I was able to participate with these meetings asynchronously because they weren't working in my schedule. So big thanks to the town. I think town staff. So Rebecca, I think that's probably you had a heavy hand in making sure that meeting notes and the videos are all available for people to read. So huge thank you to people who make that possible. The 5-4 meeting was focused on the town hall project and the renovation or reconstruction, as it's turning out to be, of the town building. As well as from a Parks and Rec perspective, Ashley did her first of 2 presentations about the new rec program manager role. The 5/18 meeting, I think a lot of Parks and Rec commissioners were actually there, but it started with a police report, department report, and the town is spending a lot more time complying, one, with California state regulations, but also in the best interest of the town, and working with the county on updating statistics and thinking about the social justice and equity as it relates to policing in Corte Madera. So happy to be part of a community that is focused on that. The community action plan report, there was also a great deal of discussion about what they have learned so far. There's a lot more to come on the climate action report, a lot more to come on the actual what will happen there. But there is a lot of energy around making environmentally responsible choices. And then we had a long discussion, I think even longer than the climate, on the patio furniture and the community space. There was a lot of interest from the town council in making sure that whatever we opt to do in the Cafe Verde, the plaza space, kind of fits in with the master plan. So it's kind of that wanting to get something done for the summer of this year, and knowing that we'll have to fit that into the master plan as we move forward. As Commissioner Brown spoke about earlier, and some interesting, potentially a couple of resources on town council who might be able to help support as we think about furniture as we move forward into the master planning process. And then finally, Ashley's role was approved through the town council very seamlessly, as it seemed to be. And then there was a lot of discussion at the end of the meeting on the flags and how we might best be able to use the flag pole in front of town center, some of the other marquee places where we could support the community and statements they want to make and what that meant speech versus community speech perspective. So more to come on that. It was just an initial conversation.
Great, thank you very much. So we had the director update in the commissioner reports. I'm sorry, we still have the executive advisory committee. Do you want to say anything about that, Commissioner Brown? About the rec facility, the sports facility potential, or?
Gonna have to cue me a little bit more. I'm not sure. I wasn't going to
The
speak
fitness
here.
court. The fitness court.
Oh, sure. Sorry about that. Yes. We spoke several meetings ago about the national fitness campaign and the grants that we had received from them, and agreed as a commission that we would pause on moving forward with any investment until we had the master plan process done and assessed whether or not the community was really looking for outdoor fitness options. In the meantime, we have continued to explore opportunities to partner with local corporate entities that might be able to participate and fund one or both of these courts. And I have had some productive conversations with Marin Health, and Marin Health has given us a signal that they will commit to a $50,000 contribution towards a fitness court. And I have a meeting scheduled for later this week with their agency, their communications agency that manages all of their partnerships, to talk a little bit more in detail about the kind of the kind of recognition that we would be able to give them both as permanent signage at the court, as well as support around public relations and communications, et cetera. So it's still somewhat nascent and but positive. And if we are able to actually get that 50,000, that means that we're about 55,000 short of being able to fund one court, which we had said as a commission, we would be willing to explore installing if we could get corporate partnerships to offset any additional costs above and beyond the 60,000 that the town manager committed for the actual infrastructure, concrete, et cetera, that's required to put the fitness court in. So if you know of any other entities within the town that might want to step in and match what Marin Health is doing and receive a similar kind of recognition, please let us know. Otherwise, we're continuing to explore a couple of other leads that we have, but haven't gotten any commitments to date.
Thank you. Nice work. I know that's been a lot of effort. And that was the only thing exec committee was working on. And the last thing under commissioner reports is any individual commissioner updates, your interaction or experience with town, parks and rec, places or people.
Can I go?
Yep.
So I want to give an update on my efforts to get the community swimming program at Redwood High School reinstated. As most of you know, for many, many years, the community was allowed to go and swim at Redwood between the hours of 1 to 4 every day, all summer long while school was out. And for some reason, that program disappeared when the new pool was built. And I rattled the cages for long enough that I finally got a call back from the assistant superintendent's office who said that, yes, we could have the time, but we needed to find somebody willing to run the program. And I am so happy to tell you that Warren Lager, who has been teaching kids to swim in Marin County for 40 years, is willing to step up and make that community swim program happen. And they're dotting the I's and crossing the T's right now on the agreement. It looks like we'll get the pool from 12:30 till I think we're pushing for 3:30 now. And then also on Sundays. And the group that's putting it together is just amazing. So Warren Lager was getting ready to retire as a swim teacher, but he wanted to live out his lifelong dream, which was to start a foundation that's goal, its mission is to help underprivileged children learn how to swim. And so Redwood High School, the Tamalpais Union assistant superintendent I spoke to, Lars Christensen, loved the idea of Redwood being part of giving back in that way and letting Warren have the pool to do his program. And if you've ever seen the Redwood pool, it's 16 lanes. So what Warren is proposing is that he have his program working there, the community swim program, he's hiring lifeguards now. They're really developing a whole program, but he had actually already progressed pretty far along in creating the software. So you're going to be able to sign up through his software, and I will be happy to answer any questions you have, but he is planning to offer aerobics, water aerobics for an hour, and also open community swim for children and families. And then while all that's going on, regular lap swim up and down for all of us who are now driving to Drake or Tamalpais Union High School. So very excited that it was such serendipity that he was already creating this program when he was looking for pool space, and is very willing to merge his program mission with the also idea of providing places for all of the community to swim. And he is very much supportive that, you know, not everybody can afford to be at the Bay Club or Mount Tam Racket Club. And this is for the kids. They can ride their bikes and meet each other at the pool. And so anyway, super excited. I'll stop talking now.
I want to say thank you. Thank you, Pat, so much, because this is a really big deal for our community. And we saw in the 2008 survey that a community pool was one of the highest rated items. And here we are, how many years later, 13 years later, and hasn't been solved, and the Best Western pool isn't available anymore. And so as the mom of a young teen who needs places to go and things to do that are healthy, fun, and outdoors for the summer, I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, same here, Pat. Thank you so much for all your work on that. I grew up in Southern California in a town where as kids, we would go to the high school during the summer and we would just hang out at the high school pool. And it, you know, I think it was, they charged a little bit to go in, you know, probably like a quarter or 50 cents or something, but it was what we all did during the summer. So I'm so happy to see that happening here and available to our kids and families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good persistence. I really think that's great that he's promoting the underprivileged swimming program too. That's something we hadn't talked about before, and that's a great addition to that idea. It's awesome.
And while Parks and Rec is not going to officially be involved with this program, Rochelle Ashley did say early on that she would be happy to promote use of the program. So, because we'll need to get the word out. So if Parks and Rec can help with that, once we get the schedule fully down and how it all works, if you can help us promote it, that would be great. Because that's going to be my job now, is to make sure somebody actually shows up. If they don't show up, I'm in big trouble. But I got 325 signatures so on a petition. So I think that I'm hoping we'll get people to show up.
Great work. Thank you. Any other commissioner updates on programs or people?
I have a small one. During the days when we had like 24-mile-an-hour winds, I was kind of curious, was our shade in the plaza gonna blow away? And I drove down there and they didn't have the sides down, which I think was a really good idea, but the top was up and there was actually people out there and it just would flutter. It was amazing that it didn't, you know, get thrown back or, I mean, it just really stood up, and those were strong winds during those couple weeks. So just, you know, a report on that. I was just so curious to see what would happen, and I'm glad, you know, it's really durable and withstands our Corte Madera winds.
I just have a quick little story to share, and that is, I think most everyone knows our most famous Corte Madera resident, Pauline Engelman, who's 112. And Perry, I don't think is on anymore, but Perry's been calling her as part of the senior check-in for must be 2 years. So I'm all, you know, I see Pauline a lot because she lives right across the street and I'm one of her helpers. And so I brought Pauline over a couple of weeks ago to meet Perry in person, and Aaron happened to be there. And it was just literally the cutest, really heartwarming for them to meet in person. So I just wanted, I mean, it was such a cool, it meant so much to Pauline, and I think Perry was actually really excited too, and so was Aaron. So that was fun.
That was so nice of you to do that for the both of them. Perry was dying to meet her. So that was, what a kind thing.
Sure, well, it looks like we might have a public comment on the commissioner reports.
Yeah, see Patty. Patty.
I don't know if this relates specifically to that, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Rebecca and the Lions Club, who have continued to provide the masks for the whole community on the skateboard fence and on the tennis court fence. So it's really been wonderful that we have been so freely supplying people with masks through this whole thing. So thank you to Rebecca and to anybody else who's involved with that, especially Lions. Thanks.
We just buy masks and I drop them off at Dan's house when he asks for a resupply. So he just asked for another set of 500 masks. And I think it's great that the youth and the people using the tennis courts and out and about at the park are still using them. So
it's wonderful because no one can say, well, I don't have one. It's right there on the wall. Just grab one.
So do we have any other email public comments on agenda item 6 on staff updates and commissioner reports?
No additional public comments were received.
Okay, well, just a couple items to run through here. We're on the home stretch. Agenda item 7 is discussion of potential future agenda items, and we talked about the recognition committee that we can talk about at our next meeting. Is there anything else that people want to get on future agenda items that aren't there currently? I feel like with the park master plan going on, we're kind of talking about everything all the time. So
Should the AstroTurf issue, it's been around for so long, should we go ahead and keep and move that forward, just like we're sort of doing with the recreation center? We know that our survey is going to result in people wanting things that might involve the recreation center. So we're already looking at that. And I think maybe the AstroTurf fields, as much as I opposed them for years, I really think maybe we should step up consideration of that. I mean, the fact that they were thinking of doing that in the dog park before they were doing it for the kids, I really think we should take some initiative there and get that on the agenda rather than wait for the whole process to happen. I don't know.
I'm not sure what's going to happen between now and July, but I'm perfectly happy to have an agenda item that gives any updates of communications, since, as we all know, we don't own, the town doesn't own that property, it's the school. And but if there's any updates on communications between Parks and Rec or citizens in the school, be happy to have an agenda item that deals with updates to that issue.
Emily, are you up on the latest with the school's position on that?
I mean, we've been going, I was, pre-COVID, we were under the impression that it might actually have started, construction of the turf field, like in 2000, I don't remember. It's been in the works for so long. And I think the funding issue is that the school was going to try to apply for some grants. They are in support of it. It's just a funding issue. But I agree. I mean, it's been, I think, since my first day on the commission, something that I've been trying to work towards. So we absolutely need year-round fields in Corte Madera. So I don't mind adding it as an agenda item. I think there's a lot of demand.
Let's do that then. Let's add it as an agenda item. I think with the master plan pending, we're not at a place where we're going to start specking out, what we might do as far as engineering or actually doing the project. But I think we need to wait for the master plan for that. But I think having an update in the agenda to talk about where we're at with the community and the town and the school is fair enough.
Is there an existing committee that is exploring this, or does a committee need to be created that's a collaboration between the town and the school to
I think probably Vice Chair Janowski has had the most input, or at least
I've met with the woman on the LCM Board of Trustees, who's the liaison to Park and Rec. But haven't had an update for a couple of months. We also, way back, literally about 5 years ago, had a Friends of the Field committee of really interested residents. But it sounds like, we may have some turnover in that because some of those people's kids are probably gone to college by now.
Was that Catherine Chan?
I can follow up on that.
Was that Catherine Chan that you were talking to? They might be moving to, not far, but I think they're moving to Santa Fe too.
They're moving to Kentfield.
Right.
Emily, I've been hearing a lot of chatter and talk amongst community members like Sarah Vigil and others who are very interested and would be willing to help make this a reality. So I think we could rally another group of citizens to get behind this and help out.
Yeah. And it seems like with the recent exploratory that Public Works did on what it would take to do turf in the dog park, that we could apply some of the learning that they had with updated pricing on a per square foot or yard basis to really understand what it would take to get it done. It might be helpful.
For the purposes of the master plan, we should probably take a broad look at that too, because having spent a season with my daughter and Commissioner Elson's daughter and other girls playing over at the Tiburon Field at McKegney Green, which used to be a mud pit when I grew up and is now playable all winter, but it's grass, it's not turf. There are grass options that are winter playable as well. So I don't think we're in a position to jump to the conclusion that turf is the solution. I think we need to make sure we look at all the options, but turf might be the best way to go, but there's definitely we want to make sure that we go down all those roads first.
Chair Blumgren, there's a hand up for public comment. We can take that.
Yes, hi, Jonna. Jonna,
Hey,
can you hear me?
Jonna.
She's on mute.
She's on mute, yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I wasn't going to say anything, but since you're talking about elevating some priorities, I want to put in a plug for what I believe is one of the greatest priorities and one of the most immediate priorities that seems to get absolutely no attention. And even in the town survey, it isn't mentioned, and that's unbelievable to me. If it is mentioned, I didn't notice it when I was filling out the survey. And that is for decent bathrooms on the east side of the park. The only bathroom on the east side of the park is the one stall inside Cafe Verde. And every time I have lunch with friends at Cafe Verde, I get an earful from the staff there about what an imposition it is on them for 100 people a day to come into Cafe Verde just to use the bathroom. And the staff has to constantly be cleaning up the bathroom inside the cafe because it's so overused because of the lack of bathroom facilities on the east side of Town Park, which could serve not only the athletes that use the fields and the kids who are waiting for their parents to pick them up after school, but also people at the dog park. There isn't a place at the dog park to go to the bathroom. And the porta potties are an embarrassment to our community. We are a town with resources that should not be allowing people who use our park and other nearby facilities to have to use porta potties. It is just unacceptable. And I would like to see the Park and Rec Commission become advocates for putting decent bathroom facilities on the east side of the park and not let it languish any further. That's
Jonna,
it.
Jonna,
If I could bring Jonna up to date on something that I think she'll find really at least worth thinking about. I've spoken to Todd about the idea of going back to what we used to do, which was that the front of the recreation center and the men's restrooms and the women's restrooms are open all day, every day, from 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. And we remove the computers and the front desk sort of presence there so that we have a secure, empty lobby with open restrooms. And I think we should do this right away before the summer. And I think that we can maybe make this a short-term solution if we do indeed want to build some bathrooms, but that's going to take time. And the reason why, Jonna, that there's no bathroom really talk on the survey is because we know, and this commission has already said and stated several times that we do not want planning for restroom facilities to be caught up in the long range planning process because the bathrooms are needed now. And I think the fastest way to get those is to simply open the doors and find a way to make that secure enough so that the public, those hundreds of kids running around playing soccer, can run up and go to the bathroom in the rec center or the community center.
if I could just add to that, I would echo that. I think we collectively believe that bathrooms are insufficient in Town Park, both at the playground and on the east side. But there is a section in the survey that asks for people's satisfaction with the current bathroom facilities at Town Park. It's question 5. And there's a question after that that asks about priorities of the things listed in question 5, which do you perceive to be those that should be given priority for future investment by the town? So I think that we will see bathrooms rise to the top there. I have no question. And I would just echo what Commissioner Ravazio said, that we know we have to solve the playground and the east side bathroom problem. It will be part of whatever we do with the community center, and it will be part of the master plan proposal and recommendations. I have absolute confidence in that.
Yeah, thank you, Jonna. And this section of the meeting is a discussion of potential future agenda items. And my first thought when you were speaking was to mention that this would be part of the master planning process. But as I hear Commissioner Ravazio speak, I wonder if there is a place to bring this up before that process is complete. I think it would be within the realm of this group because it would be in the community center. It is something we could put on a future agenda item to discuss whether or not opening the community center bathrooms would be advisable. I think since the director and all of us have input into that, it would have to come probably from all of us to town council to make a decision like that. But I might suggest that we put that on the next agenda item to discuss and whether we wanted to carry that forward into a recommendation to town council.
There
That's
are
a
a lot
great-
of people in the community who would really appreciate that. So thank you for that.
And of course, there's other options out there for new freestanding bathrooms that we'll certainly consider. They all have their difficulties, mostly around plumbing and gravity, but we're certainly part of the planning process because we know it's inadequate. Thanks, Jonna. Any other agenda item issues? And then our other matters, 7B, we already discussed, the Volunteer of the Year issue and the summer camp presentation. So that leaves only agenda items going forward, and June and July are now empty. And so that just leaves the June town council meetings, which are covered by Commissioner Elson. And I think we'll have a July meeting in town council before we meet again, covered by Commissioner Janowski. But with that, we are adjourned, and thank you very much for a very productive meeting. It's wonderful working with this group.